I think they're getting ads in. The puzzle is up on the. You are welcome to go ahead and copy that down, load it into your solver, or go to paper and pencil. Pause the screen, come back and watch me do the solve. If you'd like to, after you've solved it, or see if you finish it and come back and the stream is in progress and I'm stumbling along trying to figure out what's going where. Just that happens. All right, 1500 and 10 seconds now. Give it another 20 seconds. And we'll see how we can do here. Do feel free to chat, ask questions, pose problems, offer conundrums. I don't promise to solve any of them, but hey, they can be entertaining to add into the mix here. All right, now let's check to see if the puzzle is solvable according to the game. It is. So I know one of these two is going to be a 3. Don't know which yet. And likewise here, which means one of these two is going to be a 3. One of these two will be a 3. We've got a solve here, which means I've got to solve here and here, and some cleanup. Doesn't help with these two locator squares, so onwards we go. One of these three is going to be a 2. One of these three is going to be a 2. One of these three is going to be a 2. I've got 5 possibilities for a 2 in this square. And nothing really constraining this except that we've already got solved. Likewise here. Over here we've got 5 places that can be a 2. And now let's take a look at 1s. I've got 3 possibilities for 1 here. 2 up here. Okay, so since we've got a pair of 1 in these two, the pair looks like that's going to be 5, 8. Neither of them are self-solving, so at least not yet. Back to 1s. 3 possibilities. Over here we've got a possibility. And pretty much everything's open here. And here we've got 6 possibilities. Right. Now to 4s. This one becomes a 4, so that's solved. these 2 is going to be a 4. These 2 is going to be a 4. One of these a 4. All right. Now I've got one of these 2. One is not. One is a 4. Doesn't cross fix anything yet though, so let's move on. 5s. We've got 2 possibilities. We've already got these 2 marked, so we're down to this 3. Here, not a lot of constraints yet. We can't put a down here. Off constraints. Okay, 6 here and here, and a couple of here down, or one down bottom here. So this becomes possible 6. As rest. Nines, we've got 2 possibilities. Here we've got 3 and 2 possibilities here. And up here I've got possibilities as well. Doesn't really help us with anything yet. However, say we do 6 combination here. That clears up a bunch of 2s down here. And well, okay, we've got a 1 9, 1 9 4, 1 4 8, 8 1 3. Okay, moving on. Five, 2, 7, 8, 5, 2, 7, 8, 5, 6s. Okay. 8, 9, 5, 8, 5, 8, 5, 1, 7, 1, 7, 1, 7, 5, 9. All right. Looks like we are going to have to do punts. Let's go with an 8 here. down here we get a 1. Here we get a 5. Over here we get a 1. 7, 5, 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, 5, 2, 8, 5, 2, 5, 2. Let's get rid of the... Oh, we got an 8 here. Gives us an 8 there. Eight, 3, 8, 3, so yep, that doesn't fix any or change anything there. Four, 9, 4, 9, so not a 9. I got a 7, 1, and 8. Get rid of the 1s down here. Get that 7, that 1. This becomes a 7. 5, 6, 5, 6, 5, 1. So that's a 1. 6, 2, 6, 2. This becomes a 7. Not a 7 here. That becomes a 2, 6, and 5. 6 and 5. 2, 7. Not a 7, so 5, 9, 5, 9, 1, 3, 1, 3. Clean up some of the extras now. That becomes a 9. Not a 9. 1, 2, 5, 8, 4, 9, 4. Oop, that's not right. That was the 8 that I had made a punt at, so let's move on right back to that 8 in the middle, or the upper left square. There it is. And if this is not going to be an 8, that makes this an 8. So now I got a 5, 1, 5, 1 with a 5, 1 down here. Makes this into a 6. Not a 5, not an 8, not a 6. That's 5, 1, 5, 1 also means this is not a 1. All right. This becomes a 5 again. Not a 6, I think I said. 6, not a 5. 7, 1. Oh, some more not A's. Over here. And down here too. And I've now got a conundrum because that means I've got 2 possibilities for just a 2. Okay, both of them have a 1 in the row. Both are options for 2. We've got a 3 in the column covering both of them, as well as a 4. One of them has, or I've got a 5 in the square. Let's see, 6 in the column, 7, and this one, 7s, 8s as well, 9 in the column. Okay, so that's not going to work either. Back to that 8. And instead, let's put an 8 here and see if that does anything for us. That makes this a 7. This becomes a 6 because it can't be a 5 or a 2. This becomes a 1. This becomes a 5, 8. 7, 1, 7, 1, 5, 9, 8, 5, 2, 5, 2 again. Let's clean up that stray 8, stray 8, 5, stray 5. This becomes a 1, 6, 7 down here. We're back to these two being 2s. Alright, let's go to selecting one of those two as a 2 instead of trying to place that 8. I've got a 6, 2, 6, 2. So let's instead do, well, let's go ahead and pick one of them and say that's 2 and that's 6. That makes this, not 9, 6. That makes this into a 9. This becomes a 5, a 6, and doesn't prevent anything else there. Clean up the 2, or the, yep, it becomes a 2, 9, 4, 9, 4. Not a 9 there, not a 2 here, not a 6 here. Not a 2 here, or here, not a 5 there, or there, not a 2, not a 5. Okay. We got 1, 3, 1, 3, so none of these can be 1 or 3, which is fine. That's just a perfect 4. One, 5, 5, 2. Perfect 4, meaning that solving any one of these solves all 4 of them. And to demonstrate how that works, let's say I discover that this is going to be an 8. Well, that turns that into a 2, that becomes a 4, this becomes a 9. Let's undo that. And if instead I discover this is a 9, well, then this is a 4 down here. This becomes a 2, this becomes an 8 here. Unfortunately, don't know which of those is quite right yet, so let's check other things. Okay, 9, 1, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5, 6, 1, 2, 6, 1, 2, 5, 9. Seven, 1, 7, 1, 2, 1, 2, 6, 1, 7. Standalone 6 in the column. So not a 6 here. 1, 5, 1, 5. So that's an 8. Nope, that's not that. That's not an 8. That could be a 6. Can't be a 5. Can't be an 8. Can't be an 8. 7, 6, that's the only 6 in the row and column. So now I've got 7, 1, 1, 5, 1, 5, so that's a 7, 1, 8. This becomes not a 1. Got a 1, 5, 1, 5, so this is 7 and 2. Not a 2, that becomes a 4. And we'll walk through that series that I had mentioned earlier. 8 and 2 means this is a 5. This is a 1, 7, and 9. 5. Oh, that doesn't work. So we have to go back to where that eight gets set up. There. Instead, let's do an 8 here, 5 here. That gets us a 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1. That doesn't work. Okay, that's why we had the 8 here. That becomes a 5, that becomes an 8. That turns this into a 1, not a 1. Well, these two will be a 1, but not an 8. This becomes a 9, 4, 2, and 8. Down 9, this becomes a 2. Not 8's there. 7, 5, 7, 5, so this is a 6. 7, 1, 5, 7, 1, 5, 7, 5. This becomes a 1. Neither 1 or 2 there, there, or here. 1, 5, 1, 5 means this can't be a 5, and now I've got a pair of 7s. And that tells me this is not fully populated. So we've got a 2 that this cannot be, but needs to be in this square. So if this is a 2 instead, that can't be either because of that this 2 over here. Okay, so according to the row, we've got 1, 2, 3. This should be a 4, but I've got a 4 in the square. According to the column, this could be a 1, but it's blocked by this one. 2, 3, 4. So 5 is possible, but it's blocked here with a pair of them, as well as the 5 there. It's not fixed, is it? Yet, is it? Alright, one of these two is an 8, though. So our choices are 4 and 5 here. Let's go with a 5. Let's go break things up here. But at least we get the square solved. And maybe that helps us with something later on. Well, let's see. I got 1s, so one of these could, nope, 2 up here, so neither of these could be 2. Alright, so time to back things off again. We did this by solving for the fact that we were down to an 8 had to be in that square. Let's assume that it doesn't. Like, let's say this is not correct as being the only place that could be a 6 in the row. That would mean that this is wrong. So let's go there and see what forced that. Okay, that was placing a 2 up here. All right. I'm going to have to go all the way back to the beginning. Let's start by filling in from the 9s. Okay, 9, 9, 9 possible. 9, 9 there. 9, 9 and 9 possible. Oop, that's not a 9. So those two, that column has been filled out. We've got 3 possibilities here. That row is filled out. 4 possibilities here. And 2 possibilities here. Okay, 8s. We're going to have 2 possibilities up here. This is not a 9. Why is that not a 9? Oh, is this 9? Okay. Those two we've got possible as 8s. That fills the column. I've got tentatively all 4 of these have the possibility of being an 8, which is different than what we had last time, but that was because we had found that there was a pair in this column or this row. I think it was the 1, 3 in the row that threw that, saying that these two couldn't be 8s. All right. One of these two is going to be an 8. Maybe that one. And one of these two will be an 8. All right. 7s, we got 3 possibilities here. 4 here. And a solve there. Up here we've got 5 possibilities in this square. This square has a given in it, and so we've got 2 possibilities in this square. And now we're at 6s. We've got 3 possible 6s here. Two there, and this is a solved 6, so that takes care of these now. Solved because this 6 and this 6 restricted this square to having 6s in these 3 cells, 2 of which were already populated. Okay, now we're at 5s. 2 possibilities there. And 3 possibilities here. Well, actually, one of these 3 is going to be a 5, meaning this can't be. So we're down to 2 possibilities here. And over here we've got 4 possibilities. 4 in this square as well. And we've already populated that. So we're now down to 4s. One of these 2 will be a 4. One of these 2 will be a 4, meaning that this is a 4 and that one is not. We got 4 possibilities, or 2 possibilities for 4 in that square, and 2 possibilities in this one. Given 4 here, one of these 2, and it looks like it's going to be this one, is a 4. And that takes care of 4s. 3s, one of these 2 is going to be a 3. Got a 3 there. One of these 2 here is going to be a 3. We got a 3 possible there. matter of fact, that is a 3 there, meaning that we now have a locked 3 here, and 2 possibilities for 3 here, and 2 here. Locks this one out. That can't be a 3, which means this is a 3. Okay, and now we are at 2s. There's a 2 there and up in this upper corner here. So one of these will be a 2. One of these will be a 2, meaning this is a 2. Nope, that was not. One of these is going to be a 2. One of these will be a 2. One of these. 5 possibilities. And 3 possibilities over here. Now we go to 1s. And we've got 3 possible places for a 1 here. 3 possible places for a 1 there. 1, 2, 4 possibilities there for the moment. 2 here, which means none of these can be a 1. Also, now that I've got a 1, 3 that can't be in the center column, the 8s are not going to be in the center row of this square. Alright, over here we've got 1, 2, 3 possibilities for 1 here. 2, 3, 4, 5 possibilities there. Bunch of them there. And that takes care of the 1s. Alright. 4949 means neither of these can be 9. 62562 25. Okay. 4949 means this can't be a 9. So this is going to be a 9. So I've got this combination, 1, 5 here, a 1, 5, 8 here, and a 1, 5 here. It is a combination that's kind of misleading, because you would think that that would indicate that this should be an 8, but an 8 can be down here, up here, and in the row here, without preventing, well, for example, this from being 5 and then this and this over here from being 1s, or vice versa, and this being 5s with this being a 1. It affects other things, but both of them are still possible. So let's skip worrying about that one for now. Let's look here. We've got an 8, 3, 8, 3, 8, 2, 6, 5. Because I've got this 8, 3, 8, 3 pair, this cannot be an 8. That gives us that 6, 2 pair that gave me problems before. I've got a 6, 2 over here as well.